sometimes it's a split second, and once you've missed it forever. I remember when I pulled a camera, these were very bad times, 76. Sitting in a car, police's instructions, shoot to kill. And no photographers, no journalists, not far from the hostel in Soweto. There was this menacing vehicle, the Hippo, about to overrun 2 bodies. They shot those people. There was a body on each wheel. It's image I couldn't resist. I just swung the camera, shot it through the window of the car, and then brought the camera back, took out the spool and put it in my sock. But I was very fortunate that I shot it, and I remember feeling guilty that I'm being stupid for taking just too many chances. But when you see a great image, sometimes it's hard to resist or let it pass you by.
I remember those days, you always had to keep about 10 rand in your pocket because invariably there would be a raid and I would be arrested for being in the wrong magisterial district. There were particular skills that you had to beat the system. Otherwise you end up at number 4 or on some farm, digging up potatoes. It really was bad times, but it was good times because we were able to survive, we were able to create a life around ourselves in spite of the system. And I guess that's what made blacks so resilient. Blacks are by nature social people. The Shebeens provided an environment in which people could relax and discuss soccer and discuss politics and discuss the state of the country and the world.
During the riots, when all the trucks, delivery trucks were not allowed in the township, strange enough, SAB was allowed to deliver because of the health relationship we have with the community. Our trucks were welcome to deliver there with no problem at all.
They had what they call the liquor squad in Soweto, headed by one Captain Fick. And they would raid Shebeens, confiscate liquor, and the moment they get out of there, new stock would arrive, almost like a magic wand, and we would continue drinking. So it became, I think, for the National Party government, a war that they couldn't win. And it was SA Breweries which was in the forefront of assisting Shebeens to get legalized, to organize them into taverners associations in order to have a collective voice.
As a black man that grew up in the township, Shebeens are there and they are there to stay. No one can take them away. And that's where we grew up. Some of us, we went to school using the money from the Shebeen.
Whether it was a school classroom, a crash for kids in some poor area in Soweto or any other township, it wasn't unusual to see the taverners discussing these issues at their local meetings and making presentations to SA Breweries about, getting help to get those projects going.
Shebeens were great places, whether you were a politician or not. It was a very good meeting place, and there was great music, especially jazz. So the Shebeen queen or king would make sure that he plays something that's popular, that's attractive.
When soccer really took off in the townships and Orlando Stadium became the real mecca of black football, it was great to see, white players coming through and joining black teams. And those players were welcomed in the townships, and we would be sitting in a Shebeen and listening to a soccer broadcast over the radio over a beer. And that's really what made the difference between life in the cities and life in the townships.
An important sponsor like South African Breweries doesn't just sponsor professional sport, they also are deeply involved in the game at community level. As a result of that, we're able to take sport to the communities, to the townships.
In my opinion, there's one company who has steadfastly and consistently supported sport at all levels over many decades, and that is South African breweries. Not once and never have they striven to take advantage of their commercial interests. It has always been what is good for South African cricket and what is good for our South African team.
South African way of life is one about sport, sunny skies, great weather, and drinking beer. I mean, you go to any rugby stadium now in South Africa, and you'll find that the demographic profile is completely changed and is really reflective of the new South Africa, which is what we want.
Football is like a truce, it brings people together. I term it a poor man's sport. You can play it anywhere, with anything that is round. We can play it barefoot, with soccer boots, with shoes on. Then it helps a lot of kids to break out of the Bronx, to break out of poverty and challenge societies to have a brighter future. I'm passionate about football. I mean, my career goes back to more than 20 years. And kids look up to me. So with the under-21 as their ambassador, the under-21 tournament, I do mentorship and development to try and build men and women of tomorrow.
How we view it as SAB is that it's a diversion program where young people who have absolutely nothing to do have another opportunity to redirect their lives rather than go and sit in the taverns. We put about 26,000 young people in this program every year, and that league plays from September to June every week. It's one of the biggest in the country. But what we try and do, we have the alumni that we're trying to resuscitate, and hopefully they will give back to their own communities. I believe it's one of the biggest programs that we have that targets youth, particularly in rural areas.
Presently, we're helping this one boy. He's a former inmate. We're using Alexander United, the team that I'm involved in, to try and introduce this poor boy back into society and to rehabilitate him. Still young, an 18-year-old, and all is not lost yet. And the boy's got so much talent, it's amazing, that we can't allow it to go down the drain. And it's for us, people like myself, as the ambassador for the under-21, to take care of such boys and players.
Throughout the early development of soccer in the country, South African Breweries has been a great friend. It was a relationship that really stood the test of time. And we always knew in discussions with SAB Breweries, we would be able to get some kind of sponsorship for a tournament. And the development of soccer owes quite a lot to South African Breweries.
We are never satisfied, we're always restless. But we are very proud of the achievements in societal leadership that we as a company have made. We've marked many milestones insofar as empowerment is concerned, our whole approach to responsible use of alcohol, aspects of corporate social investment, enterprise development and sustainability. And we believe we've made great strides towards achieving our goal.
South African Breweries has taken social responsibility extremely seriously. They have got the message out to young people to be responsible, to be careful, and to be healthy. And so there's an important balance at stake that whilst we enjoy the good things of life, we want to have, like South African Breweries, a healthy society.
SAB believes that targeting a real problem area rather than just a shotgun approach is the most effective way, particularly when you work in partnership between the liquor industry, government, and communities.
Resources are a problem in the policing field, especially with Joburg Metro Police, because you have to work with budget, and if you don't have the budget, then you're not going to have the resources. But partnering with breweries has actually helped us, because with the Alcohol Evidence Center, you bring in a drunk driver and you can be able to get results immediately, and the case can go to court in the first 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and a case will definitely then be resolved. The Alcohol Evidence Center is one of our quickest and more efficient way of dealing with cases. So it's a center where we can put up a number of people that come in, and then we take them to have their blood drawn, or we have nurses that will come and draw their blood. So it's not about arresting you, but it's about educating and changing your attitude as a driver that I should not drink and drive, because it's quite a serious offense, because most of the time it will end up with a lot of other people losing their lives. Drinking and driving is a problem for the whole country, and it needs all of us, NGOs and companies like South African Breweries has done, to partner with us so that we can be able to fight it.
The Responsible Trader program is to control and manage alcohol abuse in the country. The people who are well positioned to do so are the taverners, because when someone comes to buy a beer, they don't come to SAB at the office, they go to a tavern.
When they come to my place, those drunk people, I don't sell them because they were already drunk. I ask only, can I help them? Sometimes if they need food, I can give them food.
Ik blijf met zo'n springtafel, zeg. En ik kan je vertellen wat die aangaan in die plek. Dat bij je gangsters, bij je kinders, jongkinders, wat dan die tuk belangstel. En aan die aande, dan kan je zien hoe hulle loop. Net om die mensen huise in te breek, karren in te breek aan die aand. De reden waarom ik omgeef, omdat ik 18 kleinkinders heb. En ik gee om vir hulle. As hulle nou opgroei, dan moet hulle nie opgroei aan hierdie verkeerde dinge nie. En eendag toe het ek sommer net plastic dromme gevat en by mekaar gemaak en stukke houre gevat. En toe roep ek die kinders, so sê ek vir hulle, begin toe van my kap op hierdie plastic dromme. En toe luister ek het hulle skool toe laat gaan om te leer hoe om musiek te maak, hoe om die goeders te blaas. Daarom het ek gekom aan hierdie braasbeen vandag. Saam met die Koenkane was hulle sê die Kaapse klopse. Dit ek geleer by SAB Breweries, so workshop, dat de mensen drank verkoop aan mensen, vrouwmensen wat pregnant is nie. En aan kindertjes wat onder 18 is, ook nie aan hulle drank te verkoop nie. Ek stem saam met daardie dinge, want dit is heel erg waar, die waarheid wat SAB vir my geleer het.
Project Responsible basically looked at the retail part of our business and looked at legalizing or at least normalizing the trade, where we took retailers who were trading as unlicensed she-beans and we took them through the licensing process. This project has watched us work with people who had nothing and are now able to have a sustainable life, able to take their kids to school. And then a second part of Project Responsible is teaching them on how to trade responsibly as well. So they would have a dedicated rep that takes them through the various practices that would actually inevitably lead to them attaining their licenses.
I started by selling the tomatoes, the vegetable outside my yard. Then I decided to make a shack next to my house. Then after, we decided to make the hall for the tavern. Then we apply the license. Sometimes we used to sell before we have the license. They come and arrest us.
Underage drinking is really a problem, not in the area, but in South Africa as a whole. Because these people who were here this morning, they knew nothing about the school, but they know about the problem. The kids, they've heard another voice from outside other than us as teachers, because to them, it seems as if we are just preaching. As you can go around here, you can see there are so many ship-ins. So those people who own those ship-ins, they don't maybe take care of these kids, or they don't consider the age of those who come into their taverns. They are just to make business. So it happens outside the school, but at the end it affects the learning of the learners, because some of them, they come to school drunk, and after school the only thing that they think of is to go to the ship-in and have some drinks. There is no parental supervision for these kids. They do as they please. Teenage pregnancy is a problem today, and those children, they are still underage. Even the boys, they become fathers at the age of 16. And if you trace what happened, you can see that everything started because of underage drinking.
We both had fun, so I hope
SAB, they are a big company, they make a lot of profit, but they take responsibility of educating the youth about the danger of using their products, especially if the product is going to be abused. So I think by this initiative of SAB coming out to motivate them, then it gives us hope that the potential of these learners then can come up.
Children need teachers, children need societal leaders, children need peers who will guide them in the right direction, who will give them a way of doing something that's safe and positive and helps them grow. And the phenomenon of AIDS is so blunt and so apparent. You know, you get sick, you waste away, you die. And yet it's kind of invisible. You know, you go to a homestead and there's an old lady looking after these young children, and it seems to make sense. The parents must be out working. But as you spend more time and find out the parents are not working, they're dead. And then you find children where the adult is 16 or 18, that's the person looking after them. That's the person who's trying to bring up other children, you know. But sometimes they just don't have the life skills and they don't have the energy and the time, especially if you're elderly, to look after 10 kids.
Many people in Alex die with HIV/AIDS. When I saw the children in the street running without food, some other they have no clothes, I was having that pain in my heart. I'm also a mother. I make that they have to get some food when they're coming back from school. That's why I come with that idea of making that orphanage. We also got an aftercare for those children that they're poor, they're coming from the poor families. Sometimes they come to their home, they find there is nothing what they can eat. Then they come to us, then we give them food. Then they go back to their homes. I think it's very good to have the place like that. You're doing it without that too much money. We just get that small profit from the brewery.
She's a phenomenal businesswoman and a true leader in terms of society. She has taken her profits that she makes from selling her beers within her community, adding a spirit of human touch. And we've joined her in that venture to help the kids. We've also been able to help her using the Project Promote, which delivers condoms here weekly with their orders.
When we introduce the condom project to them, my customers are very happy because when we're running off condom, they also complain. Then we have to phone SAB again and say it's nearly finished now.
For every 500 condoms distributed, 1 new infection is averted. So it made compelling sense for us to use one of our biggest assets by making sure that every delivery that goes to a tavern carries at least 2 boxes of condoms as part of the order. And that is a huge contribution, particularly in areas where government is not able to access the people who need this service the most.
Before SAB sponsored this laboratory, this place was just an empty room without the taps, without the apparatus, without the chemicals. It was just the name that it is a laboratory, but we didn't have any resources that we can use to do the practicals.
From grade 10, I've been doing physical science, and we've been only doing theory. We have not seen what we are doing. There's a big change because when we used to do physical science without the lab, most of the children were kind of bored because there wasn't anything for us to see. But now that the lab, everybody's excited to come for physical science and do all these things.
Well, it was amazing. It was, I can't even explain, but that was one of the most beautiful things that has ever happened in my teaching career, where the learners will be able to see, to touch, to feel, to live physical science.
Ombombolo is an isolated area which is semi-rural, and such facilities are very scarce. We believe that SA Brewery saw it fit that by building this facility, it will curb young boys and girls from drinking at an early age. They'll take life responsible for themselves, they'll look after themselves, and thus having a focus in life is where they're going to. Some of these kids have no parents due to HIV and AIDS pandemic. And some of them have lost hope for life, and they need somebody to give them hope. When you teach a young child good things, good morals, he will grow up a good man in the future. And this is a beacon of hope to every one of us. I think SAB is saying to us, it is a responsible company which caters for its clients, which are the elder people who take liquor. And it also caters for the young ones to say, listen, wait for your turn. It's not yet your turn.
Each and every year, the National Treasury receives more than 10 billion rand in tax revenue directly from SAB in terms of VAT and excise duties, corporate tax and personal income tax paid by SAB's employees. When all of the tax revenue generated by SAB's upstream and downstream partners are also added, this raises the government's stake to a staggering 28 billion rand, or 4.5% of South Africa's total tax haul in a single year. SAB's manufacturing operations have very high spin-off effects on employment in South Africa. Economics estimates that SAB and its value chain sustain more than 350,000 jobs in South Africa, generating labour income in excess of 28 billion rands each and every year. The majority of these job opportunities are in the form of low-skilled employment or in the informal sector, and this is particularly beneficial to South Africa given the very high unemployment rate that we have amongst low-skilled employees. SAB's beer division in particular makes a vital contribution to production and employment in rural South Africa. Their positive impact stems mainly from the procurement of barley, hops, malt and maize from local farmers, and also from their rural depots and their owner-driver program. Of course, local retailers and the hospitality sector outside of the metropolitan hubs also benefit greatly from SAB's operations. Economics estimated that more than 110,000 jobs, or 2.5% of all employment in rural South Africa, can be traced back to the impact of SAB's beer division. This suggests that SAB indeed leaves a very significant economic footprint in rural South Africa.
Black economic empowerment is about getting everybody in the society and everybody in the company, everybody in the country to a level of earnings and a level of wealth that would reduce crime, that would mean that we all have a good standard of living and a sustainable future. One of the highlights of South African Breweries' BE strategy, or broad-based black economic empowerment initiatives, is certainly the Zenzele share transaction.
Well, there's a number of projects that SAB has embarked on in ensuring that, they develop the retailers. One of them, which is known and has been talked about in every corner of this country, is Zenzele, where 50,000 retailers are beneficiaries thereof.
This transaction involved a deal of 7.3 billion rand, whereby SA Breweries sold shares to a particular scheme, being the Zenzele Employee Trust, being the retailers. It also established the SAB Foundation, which is earmarked to invest the dividend yield from their shareholding into initiatives that are designed to reward but also to educate people about entrepreneurship, which I believe is a very unique approach to empowerment, because this would empower people to empower themselves.
My rep came with this empowerment deal, and I see Zenzele shares. When I read the prospectus, I said, anybody who leaves this needs to be, his head to be examined. Because this was a deal, it was a very, very good deal. As a retailer, it's difficult for you to make 50,000 at a go and put it and say, this is my investment, I'm putting it away. But through Zenzele, it made everybody have that opportunity of saying, I got 50 grand. It's just a lot of money. It's a money that most of the people, they can't even save in their entire life.
Further areas of focus have been the procurement side, where SA Breweries have driven transformation down their supply chain. They have also embarked on programs to assist black-owned enterprises and to develop them, many of them being suppliers to South African breweries.
When I wrote my proposal for KickStart to be in the competition, the market was untapped. Iridology is a technique where we look at your iris to see the weakness in your body. So we used an iriscope to check your eyes, and then we're able to see exactly what's happening in your blood system. So now when I did my research, I saw that, in Soweto there was nothing like that. So that's why I wanted to bring this into the community. It came exactly at the right time. And after I got the money to buy the iriscope, the business started booming because people started seeing that I'm actually quite serious. KickStart helped me win the national competition where I won 150, which was enough for me to open another branch and have the money to even market it. And then this is how I actually got the growth of my business.
It's nice to see, as a young black female coming up, seeing a lot of women partaking in entrepreneurship and being their own bosses. It gives you a sense of pride that you can do anything that you want to do. Especially for black women, it was taboo to have women running their own companies and being in charge.
The daily deliveries, that's where I started to know the tricky around the deliveries. Be on time on the customer, do your customer service, check everything, then you're done. Now, I never thought I would be a successful business owner. There's about 3 phases on this owner-driver scheme. Phase 1 is when things started. That's where they assess you for a period of 12 months. SAB does refer to a qualified financial consultant so that it could help with the cash flow and training, and as well to arrange finance for the vehicle. Then you go to phase 2. That's where you got your own vehicle. The third phase, that's when you grew your business. The first time they gave me the key, I went straight to the vehicle to turn on the ignition. The feeling was so exciting. I wanted even to cry to see this big thing. And now I'm owning 3 vehicles. I've got about 15 employees. If you've got the right attitude, you will be promoted to my team. What I'm proud about, we've got about 2 of my employees. They were crews, now they are drivers because they were dedicated to their work.
When we first started investigating growing hops commercially in South Africa, international people thought that we were mad. SAB seen that as a challenge and we took them on. We set up a breeding program, developing varieties that specifically aimed at growing at 34 degrees south. We have 3 commercial varieties, and in the breeding program we're continuously looking for new varieties that's adaptable to our climate. As we see that we have limited natural resources, so we look for varieties that could be drought resistant, that use less water. We use minimum tillage, using less electricity for breeding varieties.
What this has meant for us is that over the last 30 years we built up a hop industry from about 20 hectares to 450 hectares, where we now supply about 80% of what SAB requires.
SAB is of big assistance to us in that we have a secure buyer. They do all the research in our industry, which is very expensive, and we as private growers don't have to carry that cost. And when there was floods in our area, we actually got flood assistance from SAB as well, which was very nice of a big company like them to do.
For people like ourselves in this valley, I think hops give us a better life. In my dad's day, most of the guys stopped schooling at standard 2, and nowadays they are going to the high school. Most of the persons in the George area would like that the kids must be going to colleges and universities.
Hop farming supply jobs to people in excess of, I'd probably say about 3,000 people if you take the total industry, if not more. And we get most of our labour from the rural areas up in Oudtshoorn, Duiseldorp.
Many years ago, houses were crowded. The staff lived in what we used to call barracks, and we've been able to convert over a period of time to houses which have flush toilets, hot and cold running water. We've had adult education programs where we've tried to help people become literate in their mother tongue. What we've seen as a result of that is a lot more respect from the children to their parents, a lot better attendance of the children going to schools, and that's great for the future.
Yeah, the courses which SAB sent me on, I learned a lot of stuff. And I learned how to work with people every day. And it makes me, as a person, better.
The local barley industry was set up a long time ago by SAB to be self-sufficient from a barley perspective. The importance to South Africa is significant. Our local barley bill ranges between 500 and 600 million rand per annum, which is a massive amount of money that we inject into the economy. The barley industry in the supply chain would involve farmers, it would involve co-ops, and it would obviously involve ourselves. The total number of people, be it dependents, workers, employees, that are impacted by the local barley industry, we estimate conservatively at around 30,000 people.
Die lewe was bietjie moeilik vir my gewees voor SAB ingekom het, want ek kon nie my koste betaal nie. Ek kon niks maak nie. Ek het amper die land verlaat. SAB help my om vir my mense te stuur om vir my te kom help. Hoe moet ek my goed my geld hanteer en hoe moet ek nou my gewasse oppas en al die munte te betaal.
From SAB, I've got 10 hectares of land. I've bought a tractor and a trailer. Also, I've built a house with the money from SAB.
As jy goed werk vir SAB sal vir jou goed help. Ek het 8 jaar wat ek saam met SAB werk. Deur die plantery kan jy iets doen. Jy kan vir jou huis bou, jy kan vir jou kar koop. Ek het 2 trekkers gekoop en ek het 2 sleepwaens gekoop. En ek het my kind was by die universiteit gewees deur SAB se help. Taung sal nie so gelyk het nie as SAB nie hier ingekom het nie.
As a part of the modern generations, we respect a company that gives back to the community, that is looking to enrich the community and to help people which are far less privileged, so that we can also improve the economy of the country and also that people get the same opportunities that the privileged people have.
Well, I really have to give South African breweries full marks with regards to water conservation. South African breweries, it's very much in the forefront because of its recycling and also because of its support for all conservation that has been done, such as the conservation of catchments. And attention is drawn to that by the South African Breweries Journalists of the Year Award.
Where we're sitting today at the Volga River is a very good example of a leading project of South African breweries in terms of clearing currently 15 kilometers of the river. Our aim is to get to the whole 300 kilometers of the river, which is a tributary to the Vaal system, from which all of us who operate in Gauteng in the end get a lot of our water from. So it's important for us to clear the water and to get the water clean, and that the local authority has access to better water.
At Newlands Brewery, we're fully aware of the environment that we're in, that the importance of our actions on the environment affects our sustainability within the future. The water that flows down Table Mountain into the underground streams wells up into Newlands Spring and Kommetjie Spring, which is the source of all the water which we use for our product at Newlands Brewery.
I can remember in 1950 when I first went down the Mzanduzi and then Ngeni, that it was possible to drink the water. I used to carry a little tin mug in the canoe and simply lean out and pick it up and drink without worrying about it. You don't dare do that today.
Sustainable development is not just a program or a target. It really has become a culture. It's the way we do business. So if you go to the breweries, you'll find that even on the shop floor, everybody's looking out for potential savings. Can we save energy? Can we turn off the machine when we don't use it? And once that's done, can we make that part of our standard practice and share that with other breweries? Our current target is to get to 3.5 litres of water per litre of beer by 2015. That is a very strict target, but we're quite confident that we're going to meet that. The breweries also benchmark themselves against international breweries within the SAB Miller stable. So of 50 breweries roughly in the international system, Newlands came 11th in terms of water efficiency across the group. So for us, that ties up as quite a strategic water story in terms of what we call water stewardship. Taking responsibility inside the brewery fence for using water responsibly, investing in the catchment areas in which we do business and in which our supply chains are present, working with local communities for access to water, and engaging with government and other partners in terms of water governance and water stewardship.
We see a bright future because we've been involved in many aspects of corporate social investment for many years, and there's rich and fertile opportunities for us to participate going forward.
SAB is approachable in all aspects. We find that we can go with basically any problem to SAB and they will always have an ear to listen to you.
The Alcohol Evidence Center has helped us to change the perception of the public, because it's not only the police that are concerned and want to arrest them, but companies like SA Breweries, much as they make beer, but they want them to be responsible drivers and citizens.
What really stands out about SAB is the amount of employment that's created by the company, and also the very significant tax contributions that they make every year.
For a company of this size to focus so much on broad-based black economic empowerment and to achieve a level 4 and a 14% black ownership scorecard is quite an achievement.
I never thought this opportunity will give me a chance to send my kids to a better school. It will make their life better for them as well.
SAB, in my mind, has two streams of education. There's a stream of education that's about the formal infrastructure of learning, where you can track as an individual how you are performing and how you're growing. And the other stream is about doing work in the market and being at the coalface. And it's the combination of those two things that make you a really successful person in that organization. And I think those are the best MBAs. You know, it's not MBAs that you just get in the book, it's an MBA that you can apply in real life, and that's what SAB gives you.
If we're going to succeed as a society, we need to all take personal responsibility for improving the lives of others around us. We can't just look out for me and mine. You've really got to say, what's better for society?
Our aspiration is to become a model 21st century competitor. And we believe our definition of winning in that context is to win the hearts and minds of consumers, to win the hearts and minds of our retailers, and also, very importantly, to win the hearts and minds of society.